Motorcycling is, yes, more dangerous than riding in a car by far, but in my old age I found I have to do things that make me feel alive, and motorcycling is definitely one.
Just to introduce myself, I'm John McNamara. On the Janice website, I call myself Cowboy wannabe. Anyway, my lovely wife, my technician, is filming right at the moment, but I kind of wanted to start here in the garage because that's where I can show you where Janice originated, at least in our world. We're going to come over here and look at, this is Janus 250 number 189, currently under maintenance. This was a fairly old bike, 2018 I believe. Anyway, I just added a Motocult rotor for the rear brake, new foot pegs, oil change, new rear tire. This old gal has about 20,000 miles on her. This is my wife's steed here. I'm going to walk out here and show you what today's ride is on my new 250. I think it's like 1167 or somewhere in that area.
I came to Janus because of my wife. When we first met, I had a Suzuki 550 GT two-cycle, really quick bike, and we rode quite a bit together. Then one day I made the mistake of taking her through some well-known to me S-curves at about 100, and she got off and she said, "I'll never effing ride with you again." And she wouldn't. And I got rid of that bike, and we both had full-time jobs, so I didn't really have time for motorcycles. But when eventually I did, about 5 years ago, my wife said, "Well, you better find one that I can ride because you're not leaving me home and I'm not riding with you." So I looked online at lightweight motorcycles, and that's where I came up with Janus. We happened to be going to Iowa to a wedding, and I told my wife, I said, "We're going to stop in Goshen and check out these Janus motorcycles." Well, we stopped, and before we left, I had purchased two motorcycles. Both 250s. That was my original bike, 180. Hers was 188, mine was 189. And my moniker online, I like to go by Cowboy wannabe. So it only made sense that I'd name my first bike Trigger, Roy Rogers' horse. And my second Janus, which was actually a 450, I named Buttermilk after Dale Evans' horse. And many people think that Buttermilk was a female horse, but he wasn't. He was a male. And that's why I've named this bike Buttermilk, but it's a female for me, because Trigger needs a mate. So Trigger has Buttermilk now. This is a great motorcycle road. Lots of curves. The road's in good shape. I know it intimately, so there should be no surprises. Know all the potholes, all the tight turns. So it should be a great day for a ride. Here's our speed limit, 35, we're going 44. Shame on me. One thing about Janus, it's like joining a family. We know most of the people in the factory. by virtue of telephone calls. And we've also been to 3 owners rally, which they have in, I think it's late August, early September. And we both plan on going again this year. And the Janus group is just a fine group of people. Like I said, I know most of the people in the factory. And they're all very helpful. Grant Lombaugh, Jordan Schwarzenegger, Richard Worsham is the owner. And the other good thing about Janice is there's another fellow, Devin, who runs a company called Motocult. And Motocult has lots of aftermarket parts. If you want to increase the horsepower, add an improved rear brake, which I just did on 189. Something else I did on 189 was replace the 47 tooth rear sprocket with a 43 tooth, which lets the bike wind out a little more in all the gears, but especially first gear. My wife and I both thought it revved out a little too quick. She didn't like to have to shift gears in the middle of a turn. But the 43 tooth sprocket has worked out well for us. We're well pleased with it. So I'm going to change this one as well when it goes in for maintenance. I think 500 miles is the first maintenance. We do an oil change and adjust the valves. Lots of curves on this road, which is a great thing for motorcycles. You can see this is just rural Pennsylvania. Lots of farms, lots of grass, lots of twists and turns. Really never a whole lot of traffic on this road, which is great. I think the bike runs a little smoother every time I take it out. You can see a beautiful place to ride. I got no traffic, no nothing. 15-mile-an-hour curve, and it's hardly that. Might downshift a little bit. Had a lot of rain here, so everything's green. And this bike probably sounds a little louder than a stock bike, and there's a reason for that. On my original bike, 189, the bung in the exhaust manifold, actually exhaust pipe, fell out. It's the bung that they use to put their sensor when they're checking emissions, and it fell out at a traffic light. And I suddenly heard this, what I thought was another bike beside me because it was really loud. And it turned out it was me. But after riding a bit, I liked the sound better. Trophy trout fishing there. I liked the sound better, so I left it out. Took the bung out of my wife's bike. And I took the bung out of this bike. I think it adds just a little horsepower. It definitely improves the sound. Trophy trout fishing is here in Daniels Run, which is a nice little stock trout stream. To get the trophy trout, you have to join the club. It's fairly expensive, but they stock like 10-pound rainbows, and you have a chance to really pick up a trophy fish. This is Mariana, little bird. This follows 10 Mile Creek, which you can see over there, which eventually flows into the Monongahela River. And the Monongahela River flows north towards Pittsburgh, where it hooks up with the Allegheny to form the Ohio. It's a working river, the Mon is, so you have barges, but it's a fun river as well. The fishing is pretty good anymore, and there's a series of locks and dams, and the distance between each lock is about 20 miles, so what you have is a very skinny lake, a series of lakes 20 miles long. And we have a houseboat, and I can be on the water in about 35 minutes, so it's just a nice place to be. Big hayfield. Absolutely gorgeous day. The thing about Janus is they're not a fast bike, but they're very agile. And at this stage of my life, I don't need speed. I like to call it my bar hopper. I don't take it out on the interstates, but for the roads around here, most of them are about like this, 45, 50 mile an hour speed limit. These bikes are perfect. You see Fredericktown to the right. That's on the Monongahela, so we're close to the river, 4 miles away. There's a gas well back there. We're blessed with natural gas, and it actually saved a heck of a lot of farmers around here who had trouble making it farming, but the gas royalties have really helped, and you see lots of new tractors. This is a beautiful farm right here. I'll try to get a sideways glance. See, shack up on the hill. Another thing about Janus is they like owners to be able to do the maintenance. So they have YouTubes that show you how to do just about everything. Let's see if this guy sees me. He does. That little building up there, that's a deer blind. You got lots of deer, too many deer. It's a hazard, especially a hazard for a motorcyclist. So you got to be on your toes. But motorcyclists, yes, more dangerous than riding in a car by far, but in my old age I've found I have to do things that make me feel alive, and motorcycling is definitely one. Alright, here we're coming to a little bird called Bellsville. Going to cross Route 40 here, which is the national road. It was the first national highway back in the 1700s. It's a very old area. You can tell that's an old motel that's been redone. It's an old building. Here you'll see a log cabin coming up here after we cross over 40. Alright, this is Bellsville. And check out this log cabin. That's from the 1700s, mid 1700s probably. And this next farm is one of my favorite farms on the whole road. It's in really good shape. Kind of looks like an antebellum mansion. Just lovely. There's another pretty farm. Got his garden in. Coming up here shortly on a town called Bentleyville. Not really have much claim to fame. That's a cute little house there. Yeah, this area pretty much lived on coal and steel. Coming down into Bentleyville, here's a sign. Little graveyard off to the right here. Kind of an odd place for a graveyard, but I don't suppose it matters much once you're dead. Not a rich town by a long stretch, but good people. It's a little bit of a hard place to see. I broke my neck playing football, so I can't turn my head very well, so I gotta rely on my mirrors. I think we're okay there. Downtown Bentleyville. Yeah, here's another biker. Give the ubiquitous two-finger salute. And we're going to make a left up here onto 917. That's pretty much Bentleyville. You come up here and cross over I-70. And I would say that most of you are probably familiar with I-70. It's hard to get around the country without being on I-70 at some point in time. It's like the world's straightest interstate. I don't think there's a turn from here to the Rocky Mountains, Colorado, and on beyond that. We would cross over 70. Winding road, next 5 miles. Hallelujah. Yeah, you don't really need speed on these bikes. They're light enough. You get blown around a little bit, and without a windshield, 60 feels like 90. And we're coming up to the end of 917, and we're going to go on 136, which is another curvy road. And 136 has my one stop, which is a pee stop, probably a brew stop, and it's also home of the Fallen Bikers Memorial. So you get a lot of bikers, a lot of hot cars on the weekends. Fun little bar. It's one of the diviest dive bars of all time. And then somebody bought it and put like $1 million into it, and now it's beautiful. A little bit more traffic on this road, but it's still a nice ride. I don't know why this guy's riding his brakes. All you have to do is stay back a little bit. But the world is plagued with bad drivers. I think we come over here, over the hill, and there's a Tasty Freeze, and our bar stop is right beyond it. Twist and shake. And here's our turn off. We got lots of people. You can see there, Bingham Creek Tavern, Ball and Bike Memorial.